Hello, basketball fans, and welcome to another edition of Mustang Basketball with Brad Bigler. I'm your host, Kelly Loft, Athletic Communications Director at Southwest Minnesota State University, and welcome back to the show. It's been a few weeks since we last talked. We're going to talk SMSU basketball as they opened up their NSIC home season this past weekend with a couple of nice wins over Augustana and Wayne State College. We'll talk about the games with the head coach and look at the highlights and preview this week's games at Upper Iowa and Winona State University. And again, welcome back to the show, Coach. It's been a few weeks. We've been busy. We've been to Michigan. We've had a conference game in Sioux Falls. You've been very busy personal-wise as well, but welcome back. And lots happened since the last time we talked.
It has, having babies and going to Michigan. And yeah, there's been a lot going on, but thankful to be back at home this past weekend and being able to play in front of that home crowd. Yeah,
again, the Mustangs, since the last time we talked, Southwest had a couple of non-conference games up in the UP of Michigan. Mustangs beat Northern Michigan and then lost to Michigan Tech, then opened up conference play with an overtime loss to the University of Sioux Falls. But we come back, and as you mentioned, this last weekend, Mustangs beat Augustana on Friday night 85-84, and then beat Wayne State 80-61. And Coach, it was a long time since you played at the RA facility, the early part of November when you split with Fort Hays State in Northwest Mo. And, you know, playing at home, and as you stressed this many times to your teams, it doesn't mean you're going to win just by showing up. You've still got to play hard, but it's got to be great to be at home and just be that comfort level to get back and try to get a winning streak going and doing it at home.
And we've talked a lot about developing more of a pride of winning those home games. Last year we let a lot of home games slip, and getting back to taking care of that home court and making this place a tough place to come for opposing teams to come here and win.
You look at the game on Friday night, Southwest, final seconds or so, 10 seconds to go, Bernard Burge with a jumper to win it. And that crowd gets behind it and can help, make some that final shot go off the rim somehow against Augustana and we get the rebound. But, that's what you need is that crowd to help that. And even though we're going to play at home here in the next couple of weeks, it's going to be during break, and that's where the guys need to bring their own energy because they're not going to have probably a great student because of the winter break.
And sometimes that is the disadvantage of being a Division II school, a little bit smaller. They're overall, sometimes your games will fall on some of those holidays. And it's hard to have that same consistent, bigger crowds that we're used to, especially after Christmas. A lot of times after Christmas, we're going to have those big crowds and they're a little bit more consistent. But before Christmas, sometimes it's hit or miss, just depending on the weekend that it falls.
Well, we look back at this past two games against Augustana and Wayne State, and coming into it, Coach, big concern. It hasn't really been the scoring-wise for Southwest, but you've been giving up some points, but the big number has been the turnovers. And Southwest averaging around 14, 15 turnovers, which was not the norm for your squad over the last few years. And you cut it down into single digits both times, and amazing, you get the victories.
Well, and especially when you're looking at your defensive numbers, when you're having those high turnovers that you kind of use the phrase interceptions to touchdowns, where they're getting a turnover and they're running down, they're getting an easy bucket. It's very hard to have good defensive numbers when you have those amount of high turnovers and they're scoring off them. So just to be able to see our guys clean up that action, a lot of it was our guys were just trying to make the highlight play rather than making the easy play. And to kind of simplify some things and just to be more efficient, I thought our guys did a good job of that this weekend.
Well, it's I'm not sure the official numbers on when you have 5 or 6 fewer turnovers, but let's just say you have 6 turnovers less per game. If you score on half of those possessions, that's a 6-point, 7-point swing, and that's clearly the difference in each game in this conference because pretty much every game is going to be down to the final 2 or 3 possessions.
And fortunately for us right now, we're shooting at a pretty good clip. A lot of it's, again, same old. Guys are taking high percentage shots. We're getting action to the rim, and we're finishing around the rim, even if there's some defenders there. So we're playing well offensively. Defensively, we still need to continue to get better, find a way to keep teams off balance. Our presses have not been as effective. Right now, we're giving up some easy transition buckets or easy buckets off our presses. Just something that we can clean up in practice, more of a focus to detail. and then we'll be a little bit better.
Some of the numbers, too, very impressive from the weekend. Rebounding-wise, Southwest against Augie, 42-28 rebound advantage. Against Wayne State, 30-18 rebound advantage. You're averaging about 7.9 rebound edge per game so far through 8 games, and that's a great number to have. And that's a really impressive number when you consider what you're shooting on the season, which is a very high percentage.
And that's exactly what I was going to bring up. When you shoot 50% like we have the last couple of years, it's almost going to be impossible for us to lead the conference in rebounding. And so just to see our numbers look like that right now, it's still shooting at a high number. What that says is defensively, we're rebounding at a pretty good level right now, where opposing teams are kind of one shot and out. And that's winning basketball. That's what you have to do, especially at the end of the year, to have some of those big wins, to be able to rebound on the defensive end.
Well, one thing that we noticed through 8 games, you're not going to have that player maybe go off for 20, 30 points, just one 20-point scoring game so far, and that was in the last game, Nick Smith with 22 points. And, Coach, that's just fine with you because you're going to get a lot of balance. And we have a lot of times where 4, 5, maybe even sometimes 6 players in double figures right around that 10 to 14-point scoring range, and that was the case on Friday night when Southwest had 5 players in double figures, and including one off the bench.
Well, and it comes back to a lot of times defenses will dictate who's scoring the basketball, what they're going to take away, especially in our system where we're spreading it out. If they're going to deny a Will Giddings or a Matt Zager, they may not just get the same amount of touches. Or Nick Smith, for example. Sometimes there's going to be games where, like Wayne State, where we're going to see a matchup where we're going to go inside, and Nick's going to have a lot of space and a lot of room to work, where we're going to give him an opportunity to get going early in the game. Other games, they're going to take that away a little bit. So other guys are going to have to step up, and I think that's what's neat about this team. We have a lot of guys who can step up in different roles, and you've seen it early in the season. Hopefully we can continue. One
thing we see the opponents a lot is shooting the three-pointer. Augustana did make a lot, 13 of 24. Upper Iowa shot 19 three-pointers. And, on defensive side of the ball, you're going to zone a little bit more, and you're going to see possibly some more teams fire up those three-pointers. But that seems like that's kind of been the trend here early on, and maybe it's just been some hot shooting by the opponents, but they've had some success from long range.
And I might have jinxed this. Early in the year after Fort Hays game, I said no one is going to shoot this well against us. Well, I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was wrong. Michigan Tech shot that well. Augustana shot lights out. So there's been some teams that have shot the ball from 3 well against us. There's some breakdowns on our end, but there's also give them a lot of credit. I saw a couple threes in the second half, just watched the game before I came over here. Augustana made some big shots, some tough threes during that game. And they're contested threes. Your defenders right there, you have a hand in their face, and they have the ability to knock it down.
Well, again, the Mustangs against Augustana, 18 points from Bernard Birch and William Giddings. Bernard scoring the last 5 points, including the game-winning jumper with about 10 seconds to go. And then on Saturday night against Wayne State, Mustangs led by Nick Smith, who had 22 points. That's a season high for Nick. He also had 3 block shots and is closing in on 1,000 career points. For the Mustangs, as he's right about 60-some points away for Nick. And again, the Mustangs just 7 turnovers against Wayne State and just 9 against Augustana. And the impressive number, the 9 turnovers committed by Southwest. But you look at the Augie game, and their team that's very good, obviously, but they shoot 48%, make 13 threes, only commit 4 turnovers, and you're still able to get the win, which means you really had to play really well to beat that team.
Yeah, from an offensive perspective, I don't know if they could have played a whole lot better. Mm-hmm. That's giving them, that's not taking a shot up. That's complimenting how they played. They shot very well from 3. Their big guy inside had 20 points. Just an overall great effort from Augustana on the offensive end, which made us have to be the same. We had to step up our game. Fortunately for us, we were able to get a couple of stops at the end of the game and to be able to pull out that win.
Well, of course, we also should talk about you're using that bench, as we always have for Mustang basketball. It's a little bit smaller this year. Then you go even smaller with Cole Martin being out with an injury here for a couple of weeks. So you've got 9 guys dressed, ready to go, and you're going to use all of them as you did against Wayne State. But you need those young guys, Mitch Wegg and Joey Bartlett and Drew Osmondson. They're going to be very important figures here until Cole gets back in the lineup.
And when you look at it, we have 9 guys. When we're up against Wayne, even the last 5-6 minutes, you have 9 guys. That's it. So there's a lot of opportunities for guys to be able to step up. What you're kind of saying is guys have to be consistent. Your Joeys, your Mitches, those younger guys, we really need them to be consistent. They've been pretty good so far. It'll be nice here in a couple weeks. Cole Martin's going to be out for a little bit, but we'll get Travis Miners back here once the holiday season gets going, and just being able to add a little bit more depth, a little bit more competition is always a good thing.
Well, let's talk about the freshmen that have been playing very well, and that's Joey Bartlett, Mitch Wegg, getting a lot of minutes. He did make the switch. Mitch was starting the first 6 games. What was the change there to go to Joey Bartlett, putting him in the starting lineup?
Well, sometimes a player doesn't do anything wrong to get pulled out of the starting lineup, and that would be the case. Mitch has been playing outstanding basketball. He's been very consistent. He's defending at a high level. He's rebounding. This really came back to more of a rotation. We have Nick coming out early in games. We wanted to have that fresh center, especially going up against Jensen. We wanted a fresh center for the first 5 minutes going up against him, and I think that was more than anything the reason for the change. Joey's been playing well. Again, this is more of a rotation thing, and really trying to find a way to start off games a little bit better.
And let's also talk about from the last time that we met, Sean Condon, coach, is really doing a nice job coming off the bench. He leads the team in scoring. He's hit a couple of 3-pointers in the games this past weekend, and can also run the point when Bernard goes to the bench. So he's been very key, and great to see him playing so well here early on.
It is, and what I've liked best about Sean is he's got a good pace to his game right now. He's not trying to speed up too much and make decisions on the fly. He's really he's playing controlled basketball and making good decisions in the traffic. And you know what? He's just taking open shots. He's getting a lot of good open shots, and he's knocking down those shots, and playing within himself would definitely be a good characteristic for Sean.
You look at our upperclassman, Bernard Birch, a senior for the Mustangs, just 1 turnover this past weekend in 55 minutes, and so key. And he's a player, as we talked about, the turnovers, maybe had a little bit too many against Michigan Tech, 4, 5, 6 a game, and that's far too many. But to only have 1 this weekend is great to see for Bernard.
And that's where we need him to be. He's a guy who's capable of doing that. He understands the offense. There were times where he was just being a little too aggressive trying to score the basketball, where I think this past weekend you saw him having a better balance. When he attacked the paint, if he had a good shot at the rim, he took it. If not, he found shooters. He gave opportunities for other guys, and played pretty good basketball this past weekend.
Well, again, the Mustangs win 85-84 to start the weekend over Augustana College. So let's take a look at the highlights from the victory from the RA facility. And Mustangs here in the first half, again, shoot 56%. You see a great reason right there. Matt Zager with the layup, and here's Zager again.
And this is something that we've worked a lot on. I know the NCAA is focusing on that contact off the dribble, but even when there is contact, you have to find a way to be able to score through it and score off of it.
Smith with that basket in the paint, and here's Joey Bartlett going up for getting the miss and going back up and just keep battling away to Mitch Wegg.
Yeah, and this is a good clip. Just those 2 guys, those 2 redshirt freshmen out working Augustana. Just from a physical standpoint, right there is a perfect example. You see those guys' strength is a little bit different than what we've had in years past. Right here you see Drew Osperson with a great backdoor pass to Mitch Wegg. And just that high ball screen stuff, it's a simple concept, but I think we get a lot of good action out of it. And now Augustana goes zone, and when you go zone, there's a lot of different ways of attacking right there. Matt Zager drives baseline, kicks it back to Sean Condon for the open 3. And followed up with Sean Condon with an and-1 opportunity.
Yep, not only able to shoot the 3, but also to drive. A basket by Bernard, and here's Bartlett again off a nice pass from Sean Condon.
And that's a great pass by Sean. Joey just seeing his defender made a good read of going back door.
Give the Mustangs 5 players in double figures scoring, 18 for Giddings and Birch. There's a 3 put up by Zager. And another great play here by the Mustangs drawing a foul.
And again, that's just good spacing, understanding how to attack that gap and to make the read on the defense. Sometimes you're going to pick and pop, and sometimes you're going to want to cut to the basket. And I think when we see Matt Zager and Will Giddings cutting to the basket, they're very tough to guard.
Both teams shooting very well in this opening half. Augustana 56%, Southwest at 56%. Great pass there by Wegg over to Smith on the defensive end. All-time shot blocker Nick Smith, also 6th active block shot leader in Division II basketball heading into this week's action, 139 career blocks.
And again, just good here. You're going to see Nick with staying active on the offensive boards. If Nick's not going to be able to get touches in the post, he's got to find other ways to make us better, and rebounding, offensive rebound is definitely a key to his game.
And Joey Bartlett, the freshman from St. Peter, career high 12 points on 5 of 11 shooting. Goes up here and draws the foul, tries to throw that one down.
And now we come back in the second half. Again, Matt Zager from Bernard Birch for a nice little layup.
And again, the Mustangs led by 3 at the half, 47-44. Mustangs shoot 52% from the field in the second half. You see a 3 there by Bartlett. On the defensive end, they limit the Vikings to 41% shooting.
And Mitch Way with a nice take right there. I wanted to make sure we talked about that. He's worked really hard offensively and developing that skill set, and you saw him taking advantage of the matchup right there.
In crunch time here in the second half, Giddings hits a big 3 for the Mustangs. He had 2 in the game, drilling that one from the right baseline.
And it was, give Augustana credit. They made a nice run on us and put a lot of pressure on Will Giddings. A couple threes here got us back into the basketball game. And then Bernard Birch in the end just made play after play. You see there him scoring over 2 guys. And this is a shot clock play. Again, Matt Zager getting a nice backdoor cut pass by Sean Condon.
Zager, good decision here. They're kicking it back out, reset the offense, and it's going to be Bernard driving into the big man and just taking his time and really hitting a tough 10-footer.
And that's something that we've worked on. I mean, his patience coming off that screen. Sometimes you're going to have an angle. Sometimes you have to be able to pull it out.
And a great end out there by the Mustangs. Giddings with that basket. And now here's an offensive rebound. He gets fouled on the play.
And that extra effort that Will's putting in right now is really a game changer for us.
Here's a big block by Nick Smith. Mustangs now trailing by a couple of points. Here's a basket on the goaltend, and then here's a big and one to give the Mustangs the lead.
And teams are going to guard us differently on that high ball screen. And you're going to see right here, here's a game winner by Bernard. Some teams are going to hard show, some teams are going to flat show. We have reads that attack everyone, different types. And right here you see Bernard, they do a flat show and he rises up. I think if he didn't make that, Nick Smith was probably in a very good position to get the offensive rebound.
Here's a chance for Augie to get the win. The drive up, no good. Rebound comes down to Birch, and he throws it away, and the Mustangs get the victory. A big win over the Vikings, and tough one there at the end. Mustangs get the stop on the defense that they desperately needed to get that victory and win 85-84. And that's conference basketball right there. You go down to the wire, even though we shoot at such a high clip, 54%. You out-rebound them by 14, and it still comes down to the last shot.
Well, and that's where you have to give them credit. They were playing great offensive basketball, very efficient. I give Augustana a lot of compliments, but I think that's what you do when they're well coached and they're a team that's going to probably be in the mix when it's all said and done. Well,
the Mustangs then focus the next night to take on Wayne State. Mustangs get the win 80-61. Wayne State, a new head coach, Brian Dolan, who was the head coach for several years at Upper Iowa. He takes over at Wayne State. And Coach, you know him very well, and obviously you've coached against him for 6-7 years. Do they bring a lot of the same concepts that they had at Upper Iowa over to Wayne State?
I believe so. I think, again, Coach Dolan has always been known to running a very good system, a structured system that from a defensive perspective, we've always talked about their offense and how they space you out and they have a lot of cutting action away from the ball. It's put a lot of pressure on defenses. So for us to have a very complete defensive game against them was a good sign. I thought our guys executed the game plan very well. Some very simple concepts from our side of things, but guys did a good job.
And the Mustangs shoot 57% in the opening half, which means the first three halves of the games this weekend. The Mustangs shoot 56, 52, and now 57%. You cool off to 43 in the second half, but the game was pretty much well in hand early on in the second half. But another solid effort. You forced 13 turnovers, which is great to see, and you commit just 7. And getting that turnover to the opponents up to double figures has got to be key, and that's just coming from that press or just putting on enough ball pressure on the defensive end in the half court.
Well, and against them, putting a zone on them was good for us to try to keep them off balance. Again, I think they're very structured. A team in the half court, they scored a very efficient clip, and so for us, again, to be able to throw some mans, some zones, and to also press a little bit. Now our press, again, we have a long ways to go yet to making it very effective, but it's effective for short spurts in the game, and it showed to be a good change of pace defense on Saturday as well.
Again, Nick Smith, 22 points for the Mustangs, 8 of 12 shooting, and it all depends, Coach, as you mentioned earlier in the show, what defenses teams are going to play, and if they go man up on Nick, he can have pretty good games, and he's got the ability to pass the basketball as well if he is double teamed. That's the key to, I think, the success, the remainder of this 2013-14 season.
Well, Wayne has some good big guys, so it wasn't a surprise that they wanted to go one-on-one inside. And when we see that matchup, again, like kind of previously stated, we want to give Nick a chance to be able to go one-on-one. We want to give him a chance to kind of get it going, and fortunately for us, he did on Saturday night.
Well, again, the Mustangs with the win, 80-61. Let's go back to the RA facility for some highlights in the Mustang win over the Wildcats. Southwest leading at the half, 40-31. Mustangs in the gold uniforms, and talking about Nick Smith, and right off the bat with the little baby hook shot, and the Mustangs coming out hot, scoring the first few baskets, forcing a turnover or a timeout by Wayne State.
And nothing complex. Really just get that ball to Nick and let him go to work. And to see the spacing, if they were to double, we have guys that are supposed to cut and make plays, but again, good aggressive action early, not settling for contested jumpers. See, Drew Osmussen gave us some good minutes this weekend too. It was nice to see him get in there and just still trying to develop his confidence, but every game he seems to be a little bit better, and really at times can make others a lot better with his passing.
Long three by Bartlett drills that, and then he comes back and hits another. He had 2 in the game. Mustangs hit 3 of 6 3-pointers. Here's a steal by Osmundson. They come on the fast break, 2-on-1. And Mitch Wag with the basket.
Again, simple action. Nick doing a double drop, goes and finishes. He's aggressive right here. This is something that we just didn't have as much last year. Mitch Wag getting the offensive rebound, put back.
Again, the Mustangs leading most of the first half. Again, got out to that nice lead. Cats came back, and then Nick Smith with the reverse layup. Don't see that very often for him, but able to do that. Then with the defensive, the end, the Mustangs come back the other way. Sean Condon with the right hand. And then coming back the other way, Sean with a 3-pointer. And here it comes here for the Mustangs.
You're going to see Will getting his crashing for the old board. He's going to find Sean on top. And again, a great example of Sean just playing within his role, catching and finishing a wide open 3.
And even better, it's a backbreaker if you're on the defensive end. You give up the old boards a couple of times, and then wham, they hit a 3 on you. Steal by Sean Condon. The Mustangs come back the other way, and here's Nick Smith again with 2 of his 22.
Good patience and good touch on the jump hook.
Bernard Birch here in the second half, 9 points in the contest. Here as he drives and scores with the scoop shot. Mustangs 5 of 10 from long range, and here's one of them here, Matt Zager with a 3. And then Zager, one of the top defensive players in the league with the steal, and then the dunk. Excellent job by Zager, who finished the night with 11 points, one of just 2 Mustangs in double figures, scoring 80 points, and that really shows you the balanced scoring for SMSU. Here's a foul in the and 1 for Bernard. And then a couple of steals here. Here's one for Nick Smith, and then really the Nick Smith show here for a couple of minutes.
And Nick, again, I thought what I liked about it was our team noticed that Nick had it going all the guys their focus was to get the ball to Nick and let him play. I thought that was great, unselfish basketball on their part, just recognizing that matchup and Nick taking advantage of it.
Southwest 30-18 rebound advantage, and there's that you talked about, finding Nick Smith. He gets fouled on a good pass from Osmondson, and he gets the block. He had 7 on the weekend. Block shots for Smith.
This one was kind of funny a little bit. Play broke down, and I kind of had a flashback of the three-point contest at the late show. So Nick let it fly and made the 3.
And then Mustangs come back the other way. Smith in the paint with the shot up and in. As we wind down here in this second half, Mustangs outscoring the Cats 40-30. Osmondson in trouble. Finds the open man Zager and steps through and drills the 3. And then Mitchell Wager fouled on a good pass by Sean Condon to wrap it up. But the Mustangs get the victory 80-61 as Southwest improves now to 4-4 overall and 2-1 in the Northern Sun Conference. And again, the Mustangs with a very difficult non-conference schedule, playing some very good teams: Michigan Tech, Northern Michigan, South Dakota State, Fort Hays, Northwest Mo, and makes you step into conference, coach, and you know it's going to be just as tough. And now we go on the road this weekend for our first road conference 2-game road trip, and Upper Iowa on Friday, a team we saw in Marshall back in November. Did not play them, but got to see them firsthand, and they've got some new faces. Obviously, their head coach, Brooks McCollum, coached with you for the last couple of years. Matt Fletcher, former players on their staff. It's going to be interesting to play the Peacocks on Friday night, and then, of course, Winona State on Saturday.
And we're looking forward to heading down and playing in Fayette. Obviously, we got some familiar faces on the coaching staff down there. Coach McCollum and myself have been texting back and forth a little bit this week. I'm sure it's going to be a game where we both know our systems, and it's going to be a game where we're both going to try to be a little creative and try to keep each other off balance. But at the end of the day, guys are going to have to make plays, and we're hoping that guys like Bernard Birch and Matt Zager on the roll, those are the opportunities for seniors to really step up in those leadership roles. And we have 2 weeks until Christmas break, and we need those guys to come prepared and to kind of finish the break on a high note.
Yeah, and of course, Upper Iowa, as you mentioned, on Friday night, Winona State on Saturday. Then the Mustangs will have a couple of games before the Christmas break. Lacrosse, Wisconsin lacrosse will be here on Thursday the 19th for a non-conference game, and then back to conference play against the University of Sioux Falls. Second time we'll play them in less than a month to wrap up before you take a break for the Christmas and get back into it before the new year. But so far, Coach, again, a big weekend coming up, going on the road, and it's just so important not only to defend your home court, but really to try to get those splits and to steal one on the road. And what a great opportunity. Winona State's undefeated in the conference, 3-0, beat Minnesota State this past weekend, and it's going to be a challenge to say the least, obviously both Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah, Friday night, obviously going down to Fayette, it's going to be a challenge. Just the familiarity of the systems, and both coaches probably taking away some of the strengths of the teams. Then you turn around Saturday night, playing a very hot team in Winona. Some people thought that they may have been down this year, but when you have Cameron Taylor and Kellen, those guys have been around. Those guys are very key parts of their success over the last few years. You add in a couple of talented freshmen, and they got another great core of guys coming back this year, and they're going to be very tough to beat.
It should be fun. Mustangs play at 8 o'clock on Friday night, and then 6 o'clock on Saturday against the Warriors. Friday night at Upper Iowa, Saturday against Winona State. So that's going to wrap up this week's edition of Mustang Basketball with Brad Bigler for the head coach. I'm Kelly Law. Thanks for watching this week, and we'll see you next time here at Studio One and at SMSUmustangs.com. Until next time, go Mustangs.